Ladies, this is a grim result for the coalition. Their identity crisis, their weakness on several issues is seeing One Nation record an extraordinary rise in support, Pauline.
This is true. I mean, despite what some of the social media commentary is saying, Pauline Hanson's not going to be the Prime Minister anytime soon. But it is a warning shot for both of the major parties that the average punter out there is completely dissatisfied with the leadership that is not being shown by either of the majors. The really interesting component of this is whether One Nation can provide a really weighty counterbalance to the Greens in time to come. Victoria, with its latest cohort of signing up to One Nation, apparently that's their greatest membership now, which is very interesting, and they're intending to run a candidate in every seat in the next Victorian election, which is later this year. So there'll be a few litmus tests along the way before the next federal election.
And Stephanie, this Newspoll backs up the recent Demos poll we saw just a week or so ago that showed the ALP on 29% primary vote, One Nation and the Liberal National Coalition on 23%. And what was particularly fascinating with that result was the two-party preferred figures. When it was Labor and the Coalition, Labor is 4 points ahead in the two-party preferred figures. But when it's Labor and One Nation, well, it's all tied up, 50-50 each. Susan Lee and the Liberal front bench, they must be terribly worried about what this all means.
Look, and I think they should be. I mean, it's very clear that the Liberals have lost their way. They don't know what they're standing for, and they've lost their base with it. Pauline Hanson is consistent. She's clear. She approaches every issue from a very centre-right perspective. You know what she's going to say because she comes from a strong philosophical background. I think that the coalition should be worried because they're clearly losing votes, they're losing their base, and that's a clear indication that they're suffering from a lack of leadership. I don't know whether, I agree with Colleen, I don't think One Nation's going to form government anytime soon, but I am glad that there is another dominant force in the political debate that's no longer the Greens. For too long, the Greens have been dragging both major parties to the left. The coalition should have known better than to buy into it. But I'm pleased that One Nation are now becoming a force to be reckoned with.
And Colleen, what about the notion, and it's something I spoke about last year, of the Nationals and One Nation? If there is more of a fracture between the more conservative MPs who want to see the Liberals really differentiate from Labor, and then you've got the moderates who are really, I mean, they should be in the teals, some of them. What do you think about that? If that phenomenon continues and you've got the Liberals sort of at sea, if the Nationals and One Nation get together, it could be quite a formidable team.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just your idea or whether you've heard it from somewhere, but it would be
I like to think I started it. When I mentioned it, no one else had talked about it last year, so I'm running with that. That's the Rita plan. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go.
but, it would be a really interesting component because the trouble with the Liberal Party is grappling with at the moment is what does it stand for anymore? And if the centre-right people were to leave and to join with the Nationals, I think that the Liberal Party would actually implode. It really has to get its act together, work out again what it stands for, who it's talking to, who is its audience, because showing it being Labor light clearly hasn't worked for it. It has gone backwards in the polls for several years. Every time they acquiesce the space and move to the left, they lose. So the average person out there is dying to see them get their act together.
Now let's move on to Australia Day, and the Sunday Telegraph has revealed the federal government body in charge of promoting Australia Day has handed a taxpayer-funded grant to a community group to hold a Survival Day event. The Blue Mountains Aboriginal Culture and Resource Centre will hold a culturally safe Survival Day 2026 on January 26th. I mean, really. Colleen, can you believe the National Australia Day Council is advertising this event as an Australia Day Family Fun Day when it's going to be anything but? And I think there will be people showing up expecting to celebrate Australia Day and being confronted with this Survival Day.
Yeah, it kind of tells you everything you need to know that they're not being transparent about it, that our taxpayer dollar is being used, for grievance. Australians are absolutely sick to death of the negative Nancy stuff. IPA research recently shows that 76% of Australians want to celebrate Australia Day. And what's interesting about it too is it's being driven a lot by the younger generation. 18 to 24-year-olds have resoundingly rejected the corporate notion that you could take a day, but take the public holiday on another day, with 72% of those young people saying, no, Australia Day is Australia Day. We need to celebrate it. We're sick of the negative Nancy's. Get on board. We want the positive, optimistic, lucky country back.